Commissioner General of the Uganda Prison Service find out the current situation of Colonel Besigye. He told me the following. As of today, Colonel Besigye has been on hunger strike for 6 days. This is his 7th day. He is only taking water. He's not eating any food. The Commissioner General informed me that because of the hunger strike, his health has deteriorated and therefore he had to be evacuated to a hospital. His personal doctor took charge of the evacuation in the presence of Colonel Besigye's sister, Dr. Olive Kobusinje. It's not appropriate for me to report details of what was found. This is part of the doctor-patient confidentiality. But the Commissioner General said definitely his health condition is alarming. Under all the laws of Uganda, any person, especially those who are having health issues, are entitled to treatment. And in this case, the prison authorities were able to take him to the hospital. Comprehensive tests were carried out, and the doctors are managing him. The Commissioner General also informed me that Colonel Besigye has continued and continues with the hunger strike. And that means, of course, that any medical response will not have a major impact. He will not improve because of the hunger strike. Now, concerning your other question, what steps we have taken, how long it will take to transfer the files, I wish to report the following.
Honorable Minister, he's not on hunger strike because he loves to be on hunger strike. He's on hunger strike because he believes he's unfairly treated. He's on unfair trial.
Madam Speaker, hunger strike is a form of protest, and I accept what you have stated. He is protesting through hunger strike. All through history, prisoners who feel that they are being unjustly incarcerated have resorted to hunger strike. So, but it is not my purpose to go into detail why he's on hunger strike. I simply reported his condition and we admit that it is alarming. Now permit me, Madam Speaker, to respond to...
And as a legal advisor, after knowing that his condition, his situation is alarming, what advice have you given government to that effect?
Madam Speaker, that is what I'm coming to, because you gave me a set of questions, and I would like us to go through the chronology of what we have done. The judgment was delivered on 31st January, which was a Friday. Immediately on Monday, Madam Speaker, the Attorney General wrote to the Ministry of Defense and the DPP. That is, the very next working day after the judgment. The Attorney General wrote, informing them that the cases should now be transferred. On the 3rd, the very same day, the Attorney General also wrote to the Chief Justice asking the Chief Justice to appoint a judicial officer to be in charge of liaison concerning the transfer, who should liaise between all the actors. That is the first working day after the judgment. On the 4th of February, the Chief Justice wrote back appointing the principal judge as the liaison officer. That is the second working day after the judgment. On the 6th of February, the Attorney General's Chambers forwarded the letter of the Chief Justice to the Ministry of Defense and Veterans Affairs and to the DPP. Around that time, Madam Speaker, we were here and I came to the floor and stated that it is the duty of Colonel Besigye's lawyers and the lawyers of all those who are in the court-martial to extract a decree that is part of their responsibility to their client. This decree only arrived on the 13th of February, almost 2 weeks after the judgment. That is when we received the draft decree. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, the draft decree had errors. Some of the errors were as obvious as wrong names, for instance. On the 14th of February, that is last Friday, the Attorney General's Chambers corrected...
Do you have a copy of the decree which was expected?
Madam Speaker, the errors were corrected and the corrected decree was sent to the lawyers of Colonel Besigye. We have not yet received the corrected decree. If we have received it as of now, we corrected it from the Ministry of Justice. We are concerned by the slow pace of Colonel Besigye's lawyers. I have stated the chronology. You cannot take 2 weeks. If really you are concerned about the condition of your client, rather than the politics surrounding that, they should have acted as fast as Attorney General's Chambers.
Honorable Norbert Mao, help us to help you. That's why I was asking you. Do you have the wrong copy of the decree? So that we shall not take the blame to who? To the lawyers.
Madam Speaker, on my phone, which I can forward, a letter dated February 14th, sending back the corrected decree.
That was sent back. When did it come?
The decree came on the 13th. The very next day, it was sent back. That's how fast we are, Madam Speaker. We have done our job, but those who have chosen to politic rather than take responsibility for the fate of their client are now playing victim. That is unfair, Madam Speaker.
Continue holding the suspects outside the law just because of the bureaucracy, because they are not tried, they have a free trial, they are not recognized.
Madam, on record, and on the day that the new law year was opened, I addressed the members of the judiciary and I appealed to them to prioritize matters of the liberty of citizens. I am as concerned about the liberty of citizens as any of us in this chamber. I am only reporting that a lawyer who has got a duty to a client would have acted very quickly instead of waiting almost 2 weeks before extracting the decree. It is the duty of a lawyer to extract a decree rather than spending time politicking.
Never tomorrow we do not discuss about people who are not in the house. So what you have said about the lawyer, you should retract it. Yes. Because he's not in the house. I am the custodian of the law. Here, we withdraw.
Madam Speaker, I respectfully withdraw. The copy of the decree is coming. I do not know whether I can now talk about my conversation with the chairman of the General Court Martial, the director of prosecution, or I shouldn't talk about
Just a minute, Chairman. Just a minute, Chairman. Chairman, you say the decree is coming in how many minutes?
Madam Speaker, we are just across the road. We believe in less than 10 minutes it will be here.
Okay. So we'll wait for it in 10 minutes so you can continue with other questions.
The Deputy Attorney General has already instructed our office to forward all the letters, all the correspondences I've referred to. And they include the 3rd February letter to Ministry of Defense and DPP, and the letter to the Chief Justice to appoint a liaison contact. Then the 6th February letter, which forwarded the CJ's letter to the Ministry of Defense and Veterans Affairs and the DPP, and the 14th February letter, which is also coming, but which I have a soft copy, where we corrected the decree and sent it back to the lawyers.
Now, you're answering my number 5 of my question. Number 1 was, how, as legal advisors of government, what appropriate advice have you given for the continued pre-trial on detention of an alien? And here I'm saying alien, Dr. Besigye.
Madam Speaker, in that the suspect would be produced before the appropriate court, in this case the High Court, and granted bail.
Madam Speaker, this judgment was given inter partes. Government was represented in a court. Number 2, we no longer, by the way, extract decrees. Chairman Mao, my colleague, we no longer extract decrees for purposes of execution. Court decisions, by nature, especially at the level of Supreme Court, are self-executing. You don't need a decree to act. So if judgment was passed inter partes, what more are you getting from a decree? What exactly more are you looking for in a decree? So I really think that perhaps we could use other arguments, but let extraction of the decree. By the way, with or without a decree, that judgment is self-executed. You ought to have acted even without any hesitation. Unfortunately, because you see the danger with mentioning the decree, you have many other people who are affected by that decision of the Supreme Court who don't have lawyers. What happens to them? What happens to them? So I think, Madam Speaker, it is advisable that Chairman Mao and the Executive, you use other reasons for delaying the release of Dr. Besigye other than a decree.
And as he is clean, he could be having a case to answer. He could be having a case to answer. But he should be taken to the proper court for him to be able to answer. I'm what we go again.
Madam Speaker, I think it is obvious that when you have been remanded by a court and the court martial is a court, it is only the boundaries of the court martial that have been delineated by the Supreme Court. The court martial has not been abolished. The court martial has not been abolished. The court martial is the one that remanded Colonel Besigye. Now the release of Colonel Besigye will be ordered by the court, the appropriate court, when he is taken before that court.
Honorable, when you look at Article 23, protection of personal liberty, no person shall be deprived of personal liberty except in any of the following cases: in execution of the sentence or order of the court. Now here, the court ordered that Dr. Besigye should be what? Released. Now, you're depriving him his liberty.
Speaker, first, I hope this Parliament is persuaded that we did our duty as the Ministry of Justice. We did our duty, we responded very quickly because these letters which we wrote were about the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court did not order the release of anybody.
There is an order from Honorable.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm at pain. Speaker. We expect the Minister of Justice to behave what the Parliament expects him to behave, much as you are appointed by the President. But if you are also coming here to behave like the Chairman of the Court Martial, we are at pain. We are at pain, Honorable Minister. We are at pain. Madam Speaker, is it in order for the Minister, who is a member of Parliament, to come here and instead of debating like a minister, is debating like the Chairman of the Court Martial? Is it in order, Madam Speaker?
Honorable Member.
Right, Honorable Speaker, and honorable members, I understand the background to this matter, and I don't envy the Honorable Mao for being in this position. But I want also us to be, as we seek a solution within the law, I think we have about 3 matters to address. There is the health aspect of Dr. Besigye, but also there is wait a minute, I think we should be civilized enough to listen to each other. There's also the issue of the exercise of rights and the extent to which you can go, which really is an individual discretion, in this case of Dr. Besigye. And then the last one, the processes to effect the court decision. So, Honorable Speaker, as we address this question, I would want us to reconcile all the 3, instead of, if I may say so, going back and forth, and we need to craft a solution around the 3. But for now, I want to report, like the Honorable Minister said, the health aspects of Dr. Besigye are being addressed. Yesterday,
Honorable Minister.
Yesterday.
Honorable members,
Yes,
just hold on, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister is bringing a very important point, that we need to get a way to solve this problem. And that is what we want. We want the problem solved. And it's leading us to a better direction. Yes. Yes, Honorable Minister. No, Honorable Minister of Internal Affairs.
Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, like I said, we need to reconcile all the three. I had the occasion also to speak to Commissioner General, and he said yesterday they took the doctor to a clinic of his choice, and
Honorable members, I am
until the processes around effecting the court decision,
yes,
the doctor is still in custody according
Yes.
to
exactly.
the order that took him there.
When the Hansard people will do it well.
Madam Speaker, in the spirit of truth and justice, I beg to make the following report pursuant to your directive. My delegation consisted of myself, the Minister of State for Internal Affairs, and the Deputy Attorney General. As the public face of justice, I want to thank you, Madam Speaker, for the seriousness with which you handled this matter, and I want to thank members for asserting their responsibility. I wish to assure you that government is also responsible. Responsibility means ability to respond, and we have responded. And now I wish to inform this House, Madam Speaker, that by the time we reach the court, the lawyers of Colonel Besigye had actually been engaging with the judiciary. Not the lawyers I'm talking about, these are the better lawyers. And they had agreed to reschedule the matter, which had been fixed for Tuesday. It is now going to come tomorrow. And during that sitting tomorrow, the court will give the appropriate directions, and they will definitely abide by the decree. The court had insisted that they needed the decree in order not to appear to overrule the Supreme Court. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Right Honorable, I want to appreciate this House for exerting, one, our authority, and speaking for people who are defenseless, held up in jail unfairly so. This is step number one. And look, even as I appreciate that government, after we have insisted and made noise and said, now you go, first deal with this matter, come back at 4, let's not always wait for that back and forth. Yeah, for some of these things, just move. Why do you have to wait for us to come here, make a lot of noise, say, Madam Speaker, now this matter is urgent, deal with it, and so on? Why? Why do we have to wait for these things? Can we always move as swiftly as we possibly can? So when we raise a related matter again, move swiftly. Do not have to wait for this. So we are waiting tomorrow. Hopefully, Dr. Besigye and the other political prisoners will attain their freedom.
Thank you. Honorable Member, I am grateful that the ministers responded swiftly, but credit must be given where it is due. Nobody raised that matter. I brought it as in my communication. It was my communication, and
that's why, Right Honourable Speaker, we must. You single-handedly took it up and pushed
listen
the
to government to position.
Yes. Yeah, we want to thank you very, very much and wholeheartedly for personally taking up this matter yourself and ensuring that we hold a committee, a meeting between the executive and this side, and you pushed the minister to ensure that we have results today. At least, we want to appreciate your personal involvement and direction in this matter. At least we are sure that if retired Colonel Besigye will appear in court tomorrow, what happens in the court will be a different matter. But thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for doing us a good job.